I lived in a cabin at camp. I shared the cabin with 2 other co-counsellors and around 10 campers. For my time off, I'd organise with whoever else had that day off what we wanted to do. We'd most likely get an Airbnb or hotel, and then we'd explore surrounding areas.
At camp, because it was a Girl Scout camp, I lived in a very rustic environment. During the week when the campers were there, so they were there Monday through Saturday, I either lived in a platform tent or a regular canvas tent on the ground. And it wasn't as bad as you might seem. As somebody who had never camped in a tent before until they went to camp, I managed to survive the summer, and it was actually a really fun experience. With our time off, we were able to have 2 hours off each working day. So that was Monday through until Friday, and then Saturday we would only have to do a half day, so we had all the afternoon off, and then Sunday we had the whole day off as well. So we were able to get the bus and go to different cities around Utah, different events, and also just enjoy time off camp and bond with our counsellors.
So being at a day camp, it was a little bit different in terms of our kids didn't stay overnight. So what I did is I lived with a host family, and throughout my 3 years I lived with 2 different host families. My first year I lived with a beautiful family who their kids came to camp, and they had 3 children, so I lived with them. And then my second and my third year I actually lived with the same host family, which I met my first year. On my time off, again being a day camp, I was so lucky. I got so much time off. I got pretty much nights off, and I got most weekends out of the summer off as well. So on my time off, my camp friends and I would go to dinner a lot. We went out to restaurants so much. Red Robin, #1 pick. And then on weekends we would either go to the lake or would go camping, or my host family would take me away and we'd go like on family weekend getaways, or I would go away with my camp director and his family because I was really close with them. And I would go up to Portland, and we would go down to California and go to San Francisco and stuff like that. So I was very lucky. I had a really long camp contract, and I also had a lot of time off.
As my camp was a day camp, we lived in dormitories on the property. The dorms were a great space to hang out. We each had our own bunk beds and cupboards, and there was an ensuite for each dorm. On the nights where we had camp the next day, we had a curfew of 11 p.m. Those nights were spent playing ultimate frisbee, having campfires and eating s'mores, walking to the local Starbucks, and having movie nights as well. Those nights also gave us time to prepare our Bible studies and electives and any other camp activities we were running for the next week. The weekends were awesome. We didn't have any curfew and got up to lots of different adventures. Our camp organised us each year to go on a few trips. So we went to Washington DC, we did a day trip to Philadelphia, and we would go on hikes as well.
So being deep in the heart of Texas for the summer, we were fortunate enough to live in cabins that had air conditioning, which was a perk working throughout the summer. On my weekends off, I would explore Kerrville, which is where the camp is based. It's a small Texas town that has a river, cinema. Obviously Walmart is a huge attraction on the weekend for camp counselors. I was also fortunate enough to be able to go to cities like San Antonio and Austin and spend time exploring there. A huge thing that was around us was the state parks, which are beautiful natural parks that you can go and explore on the weekends as well. So a little bit of hiking during the summer was also a bit of fun.
So my living situation at camp was pretty unique even within my camp. So usually you'd be in a cabin with about 8 to 12 campers and a couple of co-counsellors, whereas I was in a giant cabin with 45 14-year-old girls. Now you may say, oh my gosh, that's crazy, and it was. Normally, yeah, you'd have about 2 or 3 co-counsellors in a cabin. I had 6, and yeah, it was pretty nuts. It was well organised though. My time off at camp, I'd like to say, was spent pretty wisely. I'd like to use my time off to to explore. Obviously camps are in really rural environments, so we were in this really cute kind of country town. Well, we were near it. We were driving distance, so we drive down. We were actually, you know, close to a marina on the lake, obviously, and so yeah, there was like an ice cream bar. We'd go get ice cream and sit on the water and eat that, or you know, go to Walmart, which is nearby. That's an experience in itself. Or you know, go to Applebee's, or like go to the movies or something like that. There was a drive-in close by. Stuff like that. It was really, really cool. That was mostly on nights off. Days off, obviously, we could be a little bit more adventurous because we had obviously the whole day.